Live from Brother Jimmy's on Easton Avenue in New Brunswick, this is the Kyle Flood Show. Your chance to talk Rutgers football with the head coach of the Scarlet Knights.
Rutgers with 9 on the line. They're coming and blocked. He got it. He could go. Sideline 20, 10. Adios, compadres.
To be a part of the show, call toll-free 855-FLOOD-44. That's 855-FLOOD-44. Now we go inside Brother Jimmy's in New Brunswick. Alongside Coach Kyle Flood, here's Chris Carlin.
And Mr. LeGrand as well. Welcome, everybody, to another edition of the Kyle Flood Show here at Brother Jimmy's in New Brunswick. The Scarlet Knights at 4-1 on the year after a thrilling, heart-stopping win down in Texas that I'm sure, well, at least took a couple of minutes off of all of our lives watching that game, but Rutgers wins at 55-52 over SMU in 3 overtimes, and now a quick turnaround, another road game this week, and an awful big one against the 8th-ranked Louisville Cardinals. Eric, good to see you.
Hey, good to see you too, Chris. What's going on, Coach?
Well, I'll tell you what, it's good to be back at Brother Jimmy's, and it's good to be 1-0.
That's right.
It's always good to be 1-0, isn't it? Well, let's talk a little bit about how things unfolded on Saturday. Take us through this game, Coach, just mentally from your perspective. You got out to the lead, the 3-touchdown lead. They come back. They have, as you said, an NFL-caliber quarterback in Garrett Gilbert, and he certainly showed that. Take me through how things unfolded on Saturday.
I think this game will serve as a great learning experience for our program and for this football team. You know, it's a younger football team this year than we had last year, and I think when you have a lead in a game, and on 2 different occasions we had a 21-point lead, the lesser experienced players in your program, sometimes they have a tendency to think that that may be enough. And when you're playing against a quality quarterback like we were on Saturday, and one of the finest coaches of the passing game in the history of football, and June Jones, not to mention Hal Mummy's on his staff. Sure. Also, he's not too bad either.
Yep.
I knew all along that game was going to be contested all the way down to the end, and it was contested through the end and into 3 overtimes. So, we made enough plays to be 1-0. Ultimately, that's the goal every week, and now we get to make the corrections and move forward.
How do you make such corrections so fast moving forward now with the film study? Do you get right on the SMU film, or do you focus right on the Louisville film and not even worry about it and bring it up in a few weeks later?
I don't think you can just ignore it. I think you have to look at it. And we had a little bit of a plane ride coming back, so the coaches were able to grade the film on the way back. And then I think the key is to take out the pieces that you think will be applicable going forward into Louisville. And we had a bye week before we started this 2-game stretch. And we did all the preliminary work for both Louisville and SMU. So we had a pretty good idea of what Louisville would look like. And I think the coaches were able to just pull out the pieces that we thought we needed to really make sure we corrected going forward. And then you got to get into it, because literally the next day is really Tuesday in our world and the first full day of game planning for us.
As we said earlier, we want you to be a part of the show tonight, whether you're in person here at Brother Jimmy's. We've got our microphone right nearby. Come on up and talk to our friend Jimmy and ask the coach a question. We've also got a telephone number for you to call in at 855-FLOOD-44. That's 855-356-6344. Or you can tweet us your questions at @RFootball. I've got a bunch from earlier today that we'll get into. A couple of the individual efforts on Saturday. First of all, you've talked about this quite a bit over the last few weeks, that Gary Nova enjoys the big moment, and we saw that again on Saturday. 19 of 33, 283 yards, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception, 9 different receivers on the day. But, as you got into overtime, it looked like he was as confident as could be.
And it doesn't surprise me one bit. And we got a guy in the audience named Mike Teal who was a lot like that as well. And it's one of the most important qualities in your quarterback is his ability to lead through the game. And certain parts of the game create a little more tension than others. And the one thing you could say about Gary Nova, and we always said it about Mike, and maybe it's the high school they went to, and maybe it's just a little something they've got inside of them. But you need somebody who's leading your team and in that huddle who embraces the moment. And Gary does that, and he does it in a way which allows him to go through his progression and deliver the ball to the receiver that the ball should be delivered to. And he did a tremendous job in that overtime.
Knowing that 9 guys were able to touch the ball and receive the pass from Gary Nova, how does that help as his asset now going forward, being able to throw to so many different people and rely on them, especially in crunch time when they need them?
It was my goal when I became the head coach to create an offense that had multiplicity, and that's what I think a pro-style offense should be. And we did that to a certain degree last year, but I don't know that our offensive players and talent was mature enough yet to really utilize it. And I think Coach Prince coming in here, the players being a year older now, has really given us the ability to do a lot of different things on offense. And with Gary having the discipline to go through his reads, that's how you end up throwing it to 9 different guys in the game.
And we've seen Leonte Carew step up in an awful lot of situations. But I think what really jumped out to me the other day, he didn't have a catch until the fourth quarter of that game. And I would imagine, look, as a wide receiver, when that's the case, it's got to be a little bit difficult sometimes, but Leonte was there all afternoon and then stepped up when you needed him the most.
And I think a very similar thing happened with Brandon Coleman in the Arkansas game.
Yeah.
Where he caught the ball in the coming out situation for a big play, I think a 27-yard catch.
Yep.
In that scenario. And I think that happens because you have unselfish players on your team. And I know when having been around a lot of receivers and been around a lot of really good receivers, they want the ball. Who was it? Keyshawn, throw me the damn ball.
Throw me the damn ball.
So, we don't have any of that on our team, but I know they want the ball, and those guys are confident in their ability to make plays, but they also understand that the system is the system, and sometimes that system means you're going to catch 12 balls a game, and then sometimes that means you might not catch your first one until the fourth quarter, but they're all going to count.
Knowing how much we run the ball, everyone knows how Rutgers runs the ball. How big of it now is it with the fullback, Burton, being able to come off the backfield on play-action fakes, and how he's been wide open, being able to actually run with the ball for a few yards before getting tackled?
To have a complete offense, and if you're going to play with a fullback, you want to play with a complete player. And we've been fortunate, guys like Brian Leonard, guys like Jack Corcoran, and Michael Burton. We've had some quality fullbacks. We even had a guy named LeGrand who tried to play fullback for a little while.
Yeah, it's too late. They give me the ball, though, Coach.
We did not throw him the ball. But you got to earn your touches. But you want those guys to be complete players, just like the tight ends. Those tight ends and fullbacks, if they're only one-dimensional, their value goes way down. But if you got fullbacks like Michael Burton and you got tight ends like Tyler Croft and Paul Carazola, guys that are complete players, now you can stress the defense in different ways.
We've got our first question from a gentleman here in attendance tonight at Brother Jimmy. Sir, what's your name and where you're from?
Harry Joswick from Hunterdon County, guys.
How are you, Harry?
Two great games in a row. Really heart stoppers. It shows a lot about the team fighting through adversity and getting the W when they really needed to. Part of that adversity, I think, although you'll probably say, Coach, that we have the best officiating crews in college football, but you had a couple questions at the end of the last game. Did you get any explanations for the 2 calls that you were concerned about?
Well, let me just start by saying I think we do have the best officials in the country. I think they do a tremendous job, and they're trying to officiate a game at a very high speed, played by really talented athletes.
We can send this tape to Providence, right?
I was able to talk to Terry today, and we talked a little bit about the end of the end of the game and that situation with the ball on the goal line, and then the review and the league's stance is that they feel like that review was not conclusive enough to overturn the play. So we have to respect that. That's an opinion. And then the other part about the illegal participation, which was really what I was contesting, that number 15 had been out for an injury and should not have been allowed back in. I was correct, but because they didn't catch it, it is not something that is reviewable. So my best efforts to make them aware of it went for naught. But again, that one play, although creates a tie in the game, there's a lot of plays in the game that determine the outcome. That certainly wasn't going to be the reason either way.
All right, I got one for you, just to follow that up. Spent a lot of the time yesterday with my nose buried in the rule book on this very play.
You are determined to get me suspended.
I am not. All I'm going to do is I'm not asking you to respond. Eric can respond if he wants.
Okay.
All I'm going to say is here's one thing that I read about though, in relation to reviewable plays. The replay official may correct egregious errors, including those involving the game clock, whether or not a play is reviewable. That's in the rule book. So I guess my only question, if I had a chance to ask a question about it, would be what constitutes an egregious error? Would an illegal player on the field constitute an egregious error? Eric, what do you think?
I think if you're in a situation like that, when you go to be able to, you need to be able to review any play or any anything that goes on the field, I believe that should be reviewable. And to me, if you make a mistake, that's why it's reviewed. Then you have to correct your mistake. But I can't speak on behalf of the way the rules are put into play.
Well, but let's touch on this though. Moving forward from that, you have all of these different circumstances happen in this game, and still you're able to regroup, and still you're able to get, as you said earlier, enough plays to go and win that game. So did this teach you a little bit more about the mental toughness of your football team?
It really did, and I saw glimpses of it in the first game, and then we saw a little bit more of it versus Arkansas, and now we saw even more of it against SMU. So I don't think now we're looking at a one-time occurrence. I think now it's safe to say we've got a very mentally tough football team and a team that will compete regardless of what the game situation is. And now we get to go forward and correct the mistakes after being 1-0, which is always the goal. I don't think there's any value to losing the game. People say, well, could that loss help you going forward? I don't want to find that answer out.
Sure.
I would rather win the game and then make the corrections going forward being 1-0.
All right. Well, let's hit some of the phone calls. We've got a few lined up already. We will start with Santo in Edison. He is up first tonight on the Kyle Flood Show. Santo, how are you? Santo, go ahead.
Yes. Hi, Coach.
Hey, Santo.
Yes. Thanks for taking my call, and congratulations on your fine record.
Appreciate that.
Okay. My question is, do you think you and your staff will be huddling more to try to improve on the clock management?
What do you mean?
Well, the timeouts and using 2.5 minutes still left in the half. I'm sure you had reasons for that.
We did.
But I thought with 2.5 minutes that you'd be using the clock a little bit more when you're on offense.
I think what you bring up is really maybe just a philosophical difference in the game between what you expected and what we had decided to do at that point. I didn't think we were in a great rhythm on offense at that point. We were getting the ball in the second half, and I felt that if we could limit their possessions in the first half, then if they don't have the ball, they can't score. We were leading in the game, getting the ball in the second half, and I thought that was a good time to see if we could manage the clock and regroup a little bit at halftime.
21-7 lead at that point, too, and as you said, getting the ball coming out in the second half. I do want to ask you about one sequence in particular late in the ball game with about 2.5 minutes left. I've had a couple people ask me about this. 4th and 2 at the 35-yard line. You went for it to run with Savon Huggins. They're out of timeout, so at that, or maybe they weren't out of timeouts. They might have one left. Obviously, the notion is you get the first down, good chance to put that game in the cooler. Just take me through the decision-making process there.
I just thought we were a little bit too far away, to kick the field goal at that point. And it was a little bit less than 2 from what they were telling us in the box. We had run the ball well in the game, although there were critical points in the game where we didn't run the ball as well as we needed to. And on that play, that would be one of them where we didn't. It was ends up being a TFL, and one of their defensive linemen did a nice job and got through there and certainly deserves the credit for making the play. But we would expect it, if that situation comes up again, that we should be able to block it better and get the 1.5 yards that we thought it was. And then, like you said, be able to run 3 more plays and finish the game on offense.
Can you talk a little bit about how Goodwin has made an impression on you and the coaching staff this week?
Justin Goodwin, from Madison High School, just up to 287 here.
Yep.
He's a very, very impressive high school football player. His team didn't lose a game for 3 years. They won 3 state titles. He was the best player on the team all 3 of those years, and a guy who ran the ball quite a bit in high school. It does not surprise me that he would go in a game and perform at a high level. He's been doing that for a long time. I was excited by how he played. I was excited by how he protected the ball. I thought he did one thing that we corrected in terms of reaching out the ball on first down near the goal line. Just the risk reward in that situation is not necessary. Tennessee found that out the hard way with what happened to their team, and I showed both those clips to the team this morning just so everybody was on the same page, or yesterday I should say, in terms of when is it the appropriate time to reach the ball out and when is not. You got to have awareness of the game, but that's a young player doing something young, and it didn't get us this time, and hopefully we can correct it before it ever gets us. But overall, I thought Justin played an excellent game, and certainly he's going to have a bright future here at Rutgers.
True freshman, 2-time Morris County Player of the Year offensively, and 29 touchdowns as a junior. Pretty impressive stuff. First team All-State, and we certainly saw why the other day. Let's take our first time out of the night. We'll get to more of your phone calls, more of your questions here in person. We've also got some on Twitter to get to as well. It is the Kyle Flood Show as Rutgers prepares for a big one this week on the road in Louisville, looking to improve to 5-1, but yes, 1-0 this week. We'll take a break. This is the Kyle Flood Show.
Excuse me, is that your Diet Pepsi?
Sofia Vergara. Yeah, this is my Diet Pepsi. I love Diet Pepsi.
Do you love every sip?
Nothing is better than drinking a refreshing Diet Pepsi and just reveling in its crisp, delicious taste.
Well, you know what they say. If you love something, let it go. And if it comes back, it was meant to be.
So I should set this Diet Pepsi free and wait for it to come back. Then it'll be more delicious than ever. Would you hold my Diet Pepsi for me?
I'd love to.
Thank you. What happens now?
Go, get out of here. It can't come back to you if you're standing next to it.
Thanks, Sophia. I'll wait for you, Diet Pepsi.
The only thing better than an ice-cold Diet Pepsi is a free ice-cold Diet Pepsi.
Love every sip at dietpepsi.com.
This is the Rutgers IMG Sports Network.
For over 20 years in New York City, Brother Jimmy's Barbecue has been serving up great times as well as some of the best barbecue this side of North Carolina. And now Brother Jimmy's is opening in downtown New Brunswick on the corner of Easton Avenue and Wall Street. Planning a party? We have private rooms to suit all your needs. Or let Brother Jimmy's Catering bring the party to your office or home. So come on down to Brother Jimmy's and put some South in your mouth. For reservations and event information, visit us at brotherjimmys.com. Brother Jimmy's Barbecue, located at 5 Easton Avenue, New Brunswick, New Jersey. See y'all soon.
Rutgers football fans, it's time to join the 1,200-plus members of the Rutgers Touchdown Club in supporting Rutgers football 365 days a year. To become a member, please visit us at rutgerstdclub.com. Your membership includes regular meetings with Rutgers football coaches, discounts from local vendors, bus trips and giveaways, and a whole lot more. It's time for you to show your Rutgers spirit by joining the Touchdown Club today. Also, please support the team by purchasing 50-50 chances prior to each home game in the stadium parking lots. Visit us at rutgerstdclub.com for more information. Go Rutgers!
Back, it is the Kyle Flood Show as the Scarlet Knights improved to 4-1 this past week, 1-0, as the coach would say, with the victory 55-52 in triple overtime over SMU, and now they start to prepare for the Louisville Cardinals with Teddy Bridgewater and Charlie Strong, their head coach. We'll get to that in just a little bit. Chris Carlin alongside Eric LeGrand and the coach, Kyle Flood. We can take your phone calls, which we will right now. Our telephone number, 855-FLOOD-44. That's 855-356-6344. Up next, Mark in Branchburg. You are on the Kyle Flood Show. Hey, Mark. Mark, are you there? Mark.
How you doing, Chris?
There he is.
How you doing, Chris?
Good. How are you?
Good, thank you. God, I don't know. My blood pressure went up so much watching that game on Saturday. Coach Flood, two things. Leonte Carew had 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter against Arkansas and 2 in overtime. I just hope we can get him the ball a little earlier in the game this week.
Nothing makes me happier than when the ball goes to Leonte Carew. It's just got to be within the system. There's only so many times you can line up, in 22 personnel or 2 tight ends and 2 backs and put 1 receiver out there and have them just run down the field and throw it up to him. I don't think that would work on a consistent basis. But I do know this: whether it's Leonte Carew, whether it's Brandon Coleman, whether it's Karan Pratt, Ruhan Peel, and we got a couple other younger guys that are coming on here as the season goes that I think you're going to see catch the ball. When that ball gets thrown to a receiver, we got an opportunity for a big play.
Right, and the other thing that drove me nuts on Saturday, we're up 35-20. SMU starts at the 10. I'm watching the game, and I'm like, don't give up a big play. Make them go 12, 13 plays and use up the clock, and, of course, we give up a 60-yard pass. I mean, that just drove me nuts.
Well, I can tell you this, Mark. None of the defenses are designed to give up 60-yard plays. So I want you to rest comfortably tonight knowing that. We didn't call that defense saying, all right, this is one that'll give them 60 and then we'll play from there. But I understand what you're saying. And in that situation, it's a little bit of a breakdown on our part, and it's good coaching on the other team's part. They did a nice job, and you go through the game and you play these competitive league games. and the other team is going to make some plays. There's no doubt, and hopefully we can learn from it. And every week, I think our young secondary is going to get better and better. And it doesn't seem like that when you just look at the outcome of the game, because things get skewed a little bit when you play 3 overtimes. But up until the last drive of the third quarter, I thought we had done an outstanding job. Now, the idea is you got to play 4 quarters. We got to finish the game. There's no doubt about that. But we are moving in the right direction.
I got a question for you, Coach. Watching Leonte Carroo's hands, when he puts his hands up there, they remind me just like Sanu. The ball doesn't move as soon as his hands touch the ball. The ball touches his hands. Does he remind you of anybody, or is he kind of making his own impression on you?
I definitely understand what you're saying about his hands. He's got excellent hands, and Muhammad certainly had excellent hands as well. Leonte's a little different. He's a little bit unique in what he does, and he's a very strong player and somebody who last year was a major contributor on special teams before he even got the opportunity to play
kickoff
on receiver.
He almost got one the other day too.
Yeah,
almost had a block punt.
He's a complete player, and he's got a lot of similarities to some of the great receivers we've had here in the past. Guys like Mohamed Sanu, guys like Kenny Britt, Tyquan Underwood. We've been fortunate to have quite a few of them. But I think he's a little bit unique also in his own right.
Leonte Carroo has 14 catches this year and 7 touchdowns. That's pretty remarkable.
Reminds me of a young Eric LeGrand.
High school days.
We have another question from a gentleman here in attendance. Sir, what's your name? Where are you from?
How you doing? This is Chad James I'm here from Highland Park. I got a question about Gary Nova. I think one of the things that he wanted to work on this year was cutting down his turnovers. And I think for the most part he's done that. I think he only has 4 interceptions coming into this game on Thursday. And I was wondering, I noticed something in the last 2 games. When he goes back to pass and the protection breaks down, it seems like he's holding the ball too long. Instead of getting rid of it, it seems like he doesn't want to force the ball anywhere. He'd rather just take the sack and then come back for next play. And I was wondering, is that a function of him trying to, not make the bad pass, or is it a function of him just, maybe not seeing not feeling the pressure and.
I think the first part of your statement, I don't know that any quarterback makes a conscious effort to not turn the ball over. That's not the process of doing it. That's the result you want. You don't want turnovers, but being a great quarterback, and we probably should bring Mike on set for this, but being a great quarterback is about being a great decision maker.
Right.
That's really what it comes down to. And if you make good decisions throughout the game, then you will minimize the turnovers. Now, you also want your players to be aggressive. To think a quarterback's going to go through the entire season without throwing an interception, I don't know that that's realistic. I want my players to be aggressive and to have confidence in their ability to make plays. Mm-hmm. And I think Gary has that. Right. But those decisions get made all throughout the game. And sometimes those decisions are, which receiver am I going to throw it to? Sometimes those decisions are, do I need to get out of the pocket because the protection broke down? Sometimes those decisions are, where's my hot route because I got to get rid of it? And sometimes if something goes wrong in front of you, there are times where you just have to eat the ball and play again, or sometimes you got to punt it and play defense. I mean, those things happen, and that's why the quarterback is so important. And in the NFL, that's why the quarterback makes the most money, and the guy who makes the second most money is the left tackle who's got to protect him, because those elite level decision makers, they're hard to find, and we've got a guy in Gary who's made some tremendous strides over the last year and continues to get better every week. So I think what you're seeing, I think that pattern's only going to get better and better as we go through the year.
Right. Good. One last thing about that, if you don't mind me asking. I noticed that when
follow-up.
Follow-up, yeah. I noticed when he does hold the ball and the protection breaks down, he's held the ball low. He got the ball taken away from him a couple of times. He dropped it. And I was wondering, is that something he wants to focus on as far as when there is pressure, just to wrap the ball up so it doesn't get,
Ball security is a premium.
Yeah.
The one this week actually was on a scramble, and the mistake he made this week was as he decided to pull the ball down and run, and he had positive yardage, but he never tucked the ball away high and tight. Gotcha. And that's an error, and that's a mistake, and I don't think you'll see that again.
Great, thanks.
All right, our telephone number, 855-FLOOD-44. That's 855-356-6344. Harvey is up in Connecticut. He is up next on the Kyle Flood Show. Harvey, what's up? Harvey, are you there? Let's try him one more time. Harvey.
Hello?
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 How you doing, Harvey?
I think we lost him there. All right, we'll get to a couple of the Twitter questions here. Coach, this one was an interesting one I saw earlier today from Joe Kozlowski. was wondering if Coach Flood spends any time in the offseason talking to pro coaches like Bill Belichick from New England about coaching philosophy. This is something that we talked a little bit about that when you met with Brett Bielema a few weeks back when we played Arkansas. Is that something that you do a lot?
It's something you try to take advantage of every setting that you end up in, and sometimes it's in the off season, maybe at the National Football Foundation Hall of Fame dinner where you're around other head coaches. I have not gone to the national convention in a couple of years, so I have not done it there. But I was at an event with Brett Bielema, and he was kind enough to spend some time with me. You try to take advantage, and when a guy like Bill Belichick comes and works out our players, we get a chance to spend a few minutes with him. Certainly, Greg Schiano is a good friend of mine and somebody who's one of my mentors as I've come through this profession. He's somebody that I have conversations with as we go through the season when time permits. But the difference between college and the NFL is we have to recruit. And that's like another full-time job as opposed to the NFL coaches where and when their season's over, they've got a little bit more time to spend just diving into the football aspect in and of itself. For us, we got to spend a lot of time recruiting and building those relationships to make sure we get the right players. But the answer to the question is yes. You try to take advantage of every opportunity you get in a setting with those other head coaches. Somebody I've actually struck up a little bit of a friendship with because our paths are very similar is Tony Levine at Houston.
Really?
Yeah, and I met Tony 2 years ago at the conference meetings, and we were both there without our brides, and we spent a couple hours together, and it was before either of us had coached a game. And I really enjoyed speaking with him. He was the special teams coordinator down there before their head coach went to A&M, and then he got elevated to head coach in a very similar type situation to what I had. And that's a relationship that we've continued to talk.
I know. I want to know, and a lot of other people too wonder, what are the conversations like pregame when you're with the head coach at midfield? You guys are always out there having a conversation. I always want to know what that was like. How do you not give tips away, things like that?
They're very, very casual conversations. They're usually not football related.
Okay,
that's for sure. We're not exactly exchanging signals or anything like that. But I think it is a sign of sportsmanship, and I think it's something that head coaches need to do. I actually did not do a great job of it this week. I did not do a good enough job of finding Coach Jones in the pregame. I saw him after the game and said that to him because, I feel like he's been doing this a long time, and I was not out there when he was out there, so I didn't feel good about that. But I usually try to catch up with the head coach just a little bit just to say hello, and certainly when we're at home, to welcome him to High Point Solutions Stadium.
Let's get it back on the telephones. Let's go to Mike in Cedar Grove up next on the Kyle Flood Show. Mike, how are you?
Good, guys. How you doing?
Good.
Great to be 1-0 again. I hope Thursday night will be 2-0 for the week. We're 1-0 for next week.
Just trying to be 1-0 on Thursday night, Mike.
Hey, I have a comment and a question for Coach Flood. Coach Flood, I think in the first game of the season against Fresno State, were those conference officials traveling out there to officiate that game?
They were our conference officials, and generally when you play a home-and-home with an out-of-conference team in the contract, they bring their officials on the road and you bring your officials on the road.
Conference officials twice this year, SMU and Fresno State. And it seems like in both those games, not only have an inordinate amount of penalties gone against your team, but also the replay officials up in the booth have been bewildering, to put it bluntly. At what point, my question is, at what point do you have a conversation with your AD, Ms. Herman, and have her place a phone call to voice a little opinion?
Well, this is what I would tell you. I think our conference officials do a great job. They're trying to officiate a game at a very high speed, played by tremendous athletes, and I know they're working they're working really hard to make sure they get all those calls right.
And listen, it happens once in a while. We understand, but they do work their hardest. There's no doubt about that. And at any rate, listen, the best part about that was whatever it was, whether it was plays that didn't go your way, whether it was mistakes through the course of the game, still found your way out in the other end. Like you said, you'd rather learn off of a win than learning off of a loss. We're going to get more of your comments and questions in. We can be reached at 855-FLOOD-44. That's 855-356-6344. Tweet us your questions at @RFootball as well, or ask them right here in person tonight. We'll be back with more in a moment here at Brother Jimmy's in New Brunswick. This is the Kyle Flood Show.
You may already know that AT&T is the nation's fastest 4G LTE network. And now independent research has confirmed that AT&T 4G LTE is also the most reliable. Whether you're connecting with family or getting the job done, you want a wireless network you can count on. AT&T, the nation's fastest and now most reliable 4G LTE network. Rethink possible. AT&T reminds you to never text and drive. It can wait.
Speed claim based on national carriers' average 4G LTE download speeds. Reliability claim based on data transfer completion rates on nationwide 4G LTE networks. 4G LTE not available everywhere.
Between home and a dingy hotel room 2 time zones away. Between the 10th and 11th hour of travel. Between swollen feet and an aching head. There's a cold, refreshing, complimentary bottle of water. Because you, friend, are in exactly the right spot. The parking spot. The airport service that reminds you where you park matters. Learn more at theparkingspot.com. We have airport parking covered.
This is the Rutgers IMG Sports Network.
What's up, Rutgers? Y'all ready for some football? Brother Jimmy's in New Brunswick is your headquarters for Scarlet Knight football, as well as your home for the Jets, Giants, and all your favorite NFL teams. With over 30 HD TVs, we serve up all the NFL action on Sunday and Monday nights, with amazing food and drink specials all game long. So come on down to Brother Jimmy's and put some South in your mouth. For reservations and event information, visit us at BrotherJimmy's.com. Brother Jimmy's Barbecue, located at 5 Easton Avenue, New Brunswick, New Jersey. See y'all soon.
If you needed brain surgery, you wouldn't ask your family doctor to do it. You'd choose a brain specialist. At University Radiology, our radiologists specialize too. Whether you need an x-ray of your knee, a digital mammogram, or a brain MRI, University Radiology will match you with the right radiology expert to help your doctor make the right diagnosis for you. University Radiology helps keep the Rutgers athletes in the game. We can help you stay on top of your game. For more information, visit universityradiology.com.
Thanks so much for joining us tonight. It is the Kyle Flood Show as Rutgers prepares to take on the 8th-ranked Louisville Cardinals this Thursday night, 7:30. As Coach likes to say, it's the college version of Monday Night Football. Should be very exciting when Rutgers travels out to Louisville. A couple of pieces of business we want to get to. First of all, for those in attendance tonight, we've got a good-looking Brother Jimmy's prize pack we're going to give away in just a little bit. You've got the Brother Jimmy's cookbook right here. You've got the Brother Jimmy's hat and the T-shirt as well.
I like that T-shirt.
So we're going to give one of them. All right, relax. Maybe we'll get you one.
I'm trying to figure out how
Typical pro. You want everything for nothing.
Been talking to Ray a lot. Ray is the scammer on that. But at any rate, if you haven't gotten your ticket yet and you're here in attendance, we're going to call a winner in just a little while. You can go up front to the hostesses and get your ticket for tonight. Also want to mention our Rutgers Touchdown Club Player of the Week. That's Justin Goodwin with 149 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Justin joins us right here.
He is
the
right
winner
here
of the Derek Jeter lookalike contest himself. Here he is.
It is remarkable.
From Madison, New Jersey. And we've also got a couple guys with him, our axe players of the game on special teams and defense, Lou Toller and Rob Jones.
Outstanding.
Oh, yeah. I'll give you some applause, Rob.
You know what? I'm going to hold off on what I was about to say because I sometimes believe in a jinx, but Robert has been one of the more unsung guys for this team for a long time because what he does as a long snapper, bit of a thankless job, isn't it?
Well, and there's no doubt that it's one of those positions that you only get noticed when it goes wrong.
Right.
And Rob is such a valuable part of our team and somebody that came to our program from Caldwell High School, and I remember like it was yesterday because it was my recruiting area, still getting the call from his high school coach, Kenny Trimmer, saying, "Hey, listen, we've got a long snapper here who wants to come to Rutgers. I think he can help you guys." And I said, "Well, if you've got one, then we're certainly interested." And Rob's been starting for us ever since, and he's done a great job.
And consistency. I remember him back when I was here too, Rob. I see you out there. Good to see you, man.
Nothing more valuable in life than consistency, Rob.
Well,
the stash.
We got, as we said, those are our player. Justin is our player of the week, and the other 2 guys are your axe players of the week. Got another young man here in attendance tonight who's got a question for the coach. Sir, what's your name? Where are you from?
I'm Matt Salvatore. I'm from Sayreville, New Jersey.
All right, home of George Najar.
Yes, sir.
Former New York City native, Lincoln High School coach before Sayreville High School.
Yeah. My question for you is, we all saw that the offense can score. They did a great job in the last game and in the past couple weeks, but we saw a couple lapses on the pass defense. I was just wondering how you're planning to adjust to see Teddy Bridgewater and neutralize the threat that he is in Louisville.
I think the first thing I would say to you is to look at anything in a football game in a vacuum is hard. I think you get that. We had 3 opportunities on offense where we started drives in the second half on the positive side of the field or on the plus side of the 50. And in those 3 drives, we yielded no points. One was a penalty. One was a negative run. One was them stopping us. And when you punt the ball 3 times, actually one was on downs and 2 were punts. If you have 3 drives, the defense gives you the ball, your defense and special teams give you the ball on their side of the field 3 times late in the game when you have a lead and you don't execute, it's not just about the defense. Now, are there things we need to correct? Absolutely, and we'll do that. There's things we need to correct in all 3 phases of the game, and we're working hard to do that. But this week is also a different matchup. Louisville has a very talented quarterback, possibly the most talented quarterback in the country. But they play the game very differently than Fresno and SMU. They want to be 50-50 run-pass, and every week our premise in starting our game planning is to run the ball and stop the run. And when we do those things, we win over 90% of the time. So that's where we started this week. We have all the respect in the world for Teddy Bridgewater and the people around him, but our defensive game plan is going to start with stopping the run.
And they do run the football pretty effectively, and they split it up between a couple of different guys. Sonoris Perry, Michael Dyer, Dominique Brown, all with a pretty evenly distributed number of carries. Perry was 54 this year, 39 for Brown, 36 for Dyer. When a team rotates running backs in and out like that, what kind of a challenge is that for a defense?
It's the challenge of tackling a big, strong, fresh back, and it's one of the things that I think we will be able to do going forward as well with Savon and Justin being able to both carry the ball in the game, and they are committed to running the football. They want to run the football. They want to be a balanced team just like we do. I think there's a lot of similarities in the way they play and the way we play.
I got a question, Coach. When it comes to with the run and shoot offense, is there a lot more pressure with the defensive backs with the adjustments because there's so many different formations, so many different wideouts, and then going up against a pro-style offense and lining up and playing hard-nosed football? Can you talk about a little bit of the difference in game planning with the two?
I think there's challenges in both. There's no doubt, and the challenges in the run and shoot is. And I don't know if I said this on the air or not last week. Having worked in the run and shoot and studied Mouse Davis and June Jones early in my career, the catchphrase is always, what do you do when the run and shoot is not working? You say, well, you keep on running and you keep on shooting. And we saw that on Saturday. They are committed to throwing the ball, and if you're a defensive back and you're going to defend 70 passes in a game, that certainly is going to put stress on the people in your secondary. And now this week, the stress will be different. Now this week it'll be a lot more about not just pass coverage, but run support. And those are things our DBs take great pride in being complete players. And there's no doubt that Louisville's going to test us.
I want to remind you you're listening to us on WCTC 1450 in New Brunswick and on ScarletKnights.com as well. You can watch us. It is the Kyle Flood Show, and our good luck charm is back, Coach.
It's my man right here now.
What's going on, guys? Good to see you again.
Scott, remind us where you're from, Scott.
I'm from Long Valley, New Jersey, currently going here at Rutgers, part of the Riot Squad. Always happy to represent them.
And a headband back again.
Absolutely.
Headbands 1-0.
Headband is 1-0 every week, that's right. So my question is about both Rutgers and Louisville. They haven't allowed more than 13 points in a game, and you guys haven't scored less than 28 in a game, so something's got to give. So offensively, what's going to be the focus? Are you going to take more risks, kind of like what we saw in the Arkansas game when you ran plays on 4th down? Like, what's the priority going into this big matchup?
We're going to be very aggressive, and our game plan is going to start with running the football. And the more effectively we run the ball, the more one-on-ones we'll get in the pass game, and that's really where Gary Nova and that receiver core can really take advantage of what they're going to get at that point. But it's going to start with running the football. There's no doubt about that. And the better the runs are, the better the play action is. And defensively, it's the same thing. And I know it gets monotonous to hear me say that every week, but I think there are certain things that win football games. And we have beliefs at Rutgers about what those things are because over time they have proven statistically to win football games at Rutgers. So, that is the challenge this week. We're going to play in a very hostile environment. I think the crowd will be every bit as loud as any arena that we will be in the entire season. I know the game has been sold out for almost a week already. I know their fans are excited about the game. We're certainly excited about the game. And any opportunity you get to be 1-0 in a conference game, there's no more motivation needed than that.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, guys, and good luck on Thursday.
Scott,
appreciate that.
Great to see you, as usual. And you were talking about the defense in there. Going to get some good news this week. Will Jamal Morrell be back in the lineup Thursday night?
Jamal Morrell is back. He's been fully cleared. He was running around last week. He looked great last week, but he wasn't cleared, so we couldn't play him. But now he is cleared, and he's back, and he's a valuable part of what we do on defense, so we're excited about that.
I know he's real excited about that, too, Coach. And I have a question about with the defense of Louisville. You know, that right now I believe they're 6th in the nation in turnover margin. How important is it going to be protecting the ball now leading into this game and also trying to cause turnovers because I believe they only have 2 turnovers all season so far.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. And, you know, I've always valued conference statistics more than I've valued national statistics because the conference, even though you don't play exactly the same teams, the sampling of teams is the same. And when you look at our conference statistics and they're number 1 in scoring offense and they're number 1 in scoring defense, you certainly know what the challenges are that lay ahead of you. And the team that wins the turnover battle, again, statistics show that team is going to have a much better chance of winning that game Thursday night.
Back to the phones we go. That's Kyle in Roseland up next on the Kyle Flood Show. How are you, Kyle?
Hey, great. How are you?
Good.
Yeah, so I have a question about motivation. So, 2 things really. I mean, coming into this game as 17-point underdogs, I think the last time we were 17-point underdogs was before we started going to bowl games in about 2005. What role does that play with the players? Do the players look at that and say, you know, look, we're being disrespected here. We better show up and, you know, show them what we have?
I don't know that. I don't really pay attention to that. Somebody asked me another question today about motivation in last year's game, and I think those are things that motivate you in the off season. You know, through the winter programs, the 5:30 a.m. workouts, through the summer programs in the 110-degree heat on the turf, in the stadium, and the 300s and the 110s and all that stuff. But I really believe this. When you get to the season, if you need any more motivation than having an opportunity to be 1-0 this week, you're in the wrong business.
Teddy Bridgewater today had a comment that I thought was interesting. Said, look, these 2 teams, they obviously have a history here the last few years. We don't like Rutgers, but we certainly respect Rutgers. Do you feel like there's that similar feeling among your team, well, at least in terms of the respect?
Certainly in terms of the respect. The like part, I don't really know. I mean, other than shaking Teddy's hand, I've never had a conversation with him. And Charlie Strong seems like a nice man, so I don't know. I don't really know how to respond to that. But there certainly is a respect, you know, for what they do as a football team. They've got an excellent football team.
Let's hit the phones once again. Dan is up next in Somerset. Dan, you're on the Kyle Flood Show. How are you this week? Dan, are you with us?
Down there at Dallas on Saturday, and game drove me crazy, but I was very happy to come out of there with a win.
I was going to ask you, you don't like wins.
Go ahead.
You're up, Dan. Go ahead.
I wanted to ask you about the concept of a spy. Your predecessor, Coach Chiano, discussed that one time a couple of years ago. Explain it, and will you ever use it against possibly Teddy Bridgewater?
I think when people talk about a spy on defense, what they're talking about is taking one of your rushers, one of your pass rushers, and not rushing him, but really mirroring the quarterback until he gets a window to the quarterback where he thinks he can go make the play and make the tackle. And it's a little bit of a safer way to rush a mobile quarterback. There's other ways to do it. You know, your defensive lineman, and Eric could talk a little bit about this, is everybody's got a pass rush lane, and sometimes those lanes are straight ahead, and sometimes there's twists and games and things that happen up front where if everybody stays in their pass rush lane, that's another effective way to try to keep the passer in the pocket.
Eric, what do you think? I mean, from a defensive standpoint, when you know you have a spy, talk about the philosophy and just in terms of how it affects the defense as a whole.
I'll tell you what, when you know you have a spy and you're the guy who's rushing the passer and your job is not the spy, you feel a lot more freer because you know that you have the one guy mirroring you behind you, shading to wherever you're pushing them. But if you're that spy, it's a big responsibility because you have to exactly watch what everyone is doing. And me being at a nose guard, I remember sometimes we had to drop off into coverage in certain plays, and we had to mirror the quarterback too also. So the mirroring the quarterback part, it's not an easy job, but it's something that you need to do in order to, if you want to win and be successful. But I feel if you do have the spot and you're not the guy, you have a lot more freer pass rush and you can do a lot more things because you know you have somebody else behind you backing you up if you make a mistake and get out of your lane.
We've got time in just a little bit to get more of your questions in for Coach Flood. We'll take our next time out, though, right now. We are at Brother Jimmy's in New Brunswick for this week's edition of the Kyle Flood Show. We'll be right back.
Excuse me, is that your Diet Pepsi?
Sophia Vergara. Yeah, this is my Diet Pepsi. I love Diet Pepsi.
Do you love every sip?
Nothing is better than drinking a refreshing Diet Pepsi and just reveling in its crisp, delicious taste.
Well, you know what they say. If you love something, let it go. And if it comes back, it was meant to be.
So I should set this Diet Pepsi free and wait for it to come back. Then it'll be more delicious than ever. Would you hold my Diet Pepsi for me?
I'd love to.
Thank you. What happens now?
Go, get out of here. It can't come back to you if you're standing next to it.
Thanks, Sophia. I'll wait for you, Diet Pepsi.
The only thing better than an ice-cold Diet Pepsi is a free ice-cold Diet Pepsi.
Love every sip at dietpepsi.com.
This is the Rutgers IMG Sports Network.
Is your commute to Manhattan leaving you frustrated and light in the wallet? If you live in Monmouth, Ocean, Burlington, or Middlesex counties, say yes to a direct, affordable commute with Academy Bus. Enjoy stress-free travel aboard one of our Wi-Fi-equipped buses straight to Midtown or Wall Street in Manhattan. We'll deliver you to your commuting destination relaxed and ready to take on the day, and you can also use the Wi-Fi to get some work done. For schedules, park and ride locations, and more, visit our website, www.academybus.com. Academy Bus. We know the way.
When I say Xerox, I know what you're thinking. Transit fares, as in the 37 billion transit fares we help collect each year. No. Oh, right. You're thinking of the 1.6 million daily customer care interactions Xerox handles, or the 900 million health insurance claims we process. So it's no surprise to you that companies depend on today's Xerox for services that simplify how work gets done, which is pretty much what we've always stood for. With Xerox, you're ready for real business.
We've got time left in the Kyle Flood Show to get your calls, your questions in for the coach. If you're live with us here at Brother Jimmy's, Chris Carlin, Eric LeGrand, Coach Kyle Flood, Rutgers preparing Thursday night for the Louisville Cardinals. In just a few moments, we're going to pick a winner for our Brother Jimmy's prize pack, the hat, the T-shirt, and the Brother Jimmy's cookbook for someone here in attendance tonight, courtesy of Brother Jimmy's here in New Brunswick. You were talking earlier, and we've talked about this an awful lot, the tenets of the program: run the football, stop the run. And that brings me to an event that you were involved with last week at your high school, St. Francis Prep in Fresh Meadows, in honoring another pretty good coach who went to St. Francis Prep, Vince Lombardi.
I'm very fortunate to say, as a graduate of St. Francis Prep, originally in Brooklyn and since 1974 in Fresh Meadows, Queens, to be part of an alumni base that boasts the likes of Vince Lombardi, Joe Torre, Jerry DiNardo, Dan Henning, Marco Battaglia, all four Purcell brothers. And the Pro Football Hall of Fame has a program now. They call it the Hometown Heroes Program. And what they do is they present the family of the Hall of Famers with a plaque. It's a beautiful bronze plaque, and it's up to the family to decide where that plaque will be displayed. And the Lombardi family decided that plaque should be displayed at St. Francis Prep. And the people at St. Francis, where I'm not just an alumnus, I'm also a former faculty member, asked me to come back and be part of the ceremony. And I was so excited and so proud to do it. It was really one of the highlights of my professional career.
I didn't know Lombardi went there, Coach.
Well, Vince Lombardi did go there, and we're very proud of it. And it wasn't until I started really researching it, and anybody in coaching has studied Coach Lombardi, and there are certain things, if they fit your personality, you try to emulate. But I did not know until last week that one of the things his former players quoted him saying all the time was that football will always be about running the football and stopping the run. So I feel like somehow he has possessed me, because I don't know if I've said anything but that since becoming the head coach last year.
Well, let's get to more of your questions. This one is from Twitter, and it comes from Eric Orlando. Prepping to defend pro-style offense like Louisville, is it become like, let's see if I get this right, becoming like prepping for the option wishbone because it's becoming unique in college football? In other words, the idea, the pro-style offense, like Rutgers runs, like they run, it's actually more unique than it used to be in the spread and the run-shoot thing. Well, really the spread becoming an awful lot more common these days.
I think for a lot of teams, that's absolutely the case. For us, we're fortunate that in spring and on our bye weeks, because of what we do on offense, we can do it at a very high speed against our defense, and they can get some very realistic looks at a pro-style offense and multiple personnel groups and formations and adjustments and shifts and motions and all the things that go into being a high-caliber pro-style offense. So I think the question is very appropriate, and I think for a lot of the spread teams, when they play a team like Louisville or a team like Rutgers, it becomes a unique week. But for us, it's really what we do all year round.
How important is it to now disguise going up versus Teddy Bridgewater? You don't want to have him sitting back there all day dicing through defense. How important is it going to be for the DBs and the linebackers to be disguised in there certain spots to try to confuse him a little bit?
I think it's one of the tenets of playing defense at a high level is the ability to disguise. And if you do the same thing every play, or if Teddy's able to look at it and know exactly what it is each time, he's going to be very hard to defend. So we're going to do our best in that game Thursday night to keep him off balance.
We've got another question from a gentleman that's here in attendance tonight. Sir, what's your name and where are you from?
I'm Ryan Devine. I'm from Morristown, New Jersey.
There he is. What's up, Ryan?
Right. And I was just wondering, what's the schedule been like from the time you get in the locker room in Dallas to the time you kick off in Louisville? What are like the main points of the schedule?
Yeah, I mean, the schedule's easy. The first decision you make is that you don't sleep. And as long as you're willing to forego sleep, then there's plenty of hours to get everything done. So that's one of the easier decisions to make. But the first thing we did was we didn't spend a lot of time in the locker room. There was no extravagant post-game speech, and that was planned from the very beginning, regardless of the outcome of the game. Fortunate to be 1-0. I said to the team how proud I was. We say a prayer, and then we go. And we try and get out of there as quickly as we can. And we did a good job, and the people at Continental United did a great job of getting us home quickly. And then when we get back, we talk to them for a couple minutes in the locker room just to set up what the next week is going to be about. And then the coaches continue to work. So we graded the film on the way back. We had most of the game plan done. We got the most recent game from Temple. We get that broken down. We put the game plan together. We come back Sunday night and we practice, which is our Tuesday. And really, we usually have 28 hours where the nuts and bolts of the game plan go in. Pretty much everything goes in from Tuesday to Wednesday in a game week. But because of the unique situation we're in right now and our schedule being a morning practice team, that whole game plan went in 20 hours this week instead of 28. Mm-hmm. And that was from Sunday night through noon today. And I thought our coaches did an excellent job. I thought our players did an excellent job of not just absorbing the game plan, but taking advantage of every opportunity to rest and recover their body to get ready to play on a short week.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, we got to take one more timeout. Couple minutes left. Give us a call, 855-FLOOD-44, or tweet us at @RFootball. This is the Kyle Flood Show.
Hey, everybody, this is Coach, and I want all you tried and true college football fans to enter the AT&T Be the Fan sweepstakes. Tackle my weekly challenge, and you might be the fan who wins a VIP trip to ESPN College Game Day. Find out how you can win at attbethefan.com. AT&T, rethink possible.
No purchase necessary. Open to U.S. citizens and resident aliens of the 50 U.S. states or D.C. of the age of majority. Ends 11:59 p.m. Central Time, November 29, 2013. Official rules at attbethefan.com. Void where prohibited.
To a true fan, college football isn't just a sport. Football Saturdays are filled with big rituals and little rest. It's a day for hard-hitting, heart-pounding, sweat-drenching action, and you must be dressed for the occasion. So there can be no mistake as to whose side you're on. Get out there and get the NCAA gear that allows you to wear your Saturday's best. NCAA apparel for all your favorite schools. Available at Walmart.
This is the Rutgers IMG Sports Network.
When it comes to football, you want your favorite players to stay healthy and on top of their game. Well, AmeriHealth New Jersey wants the same thing for its members. That's why AmeriHealth New Jersey has you covered with the answers you need to understand how the new healthcare law is changing the way you buy health insurance. AmeriHealth believes the more you know about your options, the less stress you'll feel. No one cares more about keeping New Jersey healthy, and no one is doing more to keep rates affordable. To learn more about health insurance that pays, visit AmeriHealthNJ.com. AmeriHealth New Jersey is a proud sponsor of Rutgers football.
Oh, what up, Rutgers? Hey, guess what? I bet you didn't know you're about to have 3 different kinds of barbecue sauce all over that sweet, sticky mug of yours. Also, bet you didn't know, down south in North Carolina, we can actually make some of the best barbecue you've ever had in your ding-dong life. So come on down to Brother Jimmy's Barbecue and put some South in your mouth. Brother Jimmy's Barbecue, located at 5 Easton Avenue, New Brunswick, New Jersey. Or check us out at BrotherJimmys.com. See y'all real soon.
Couple of minutes left in the Kyle Flood Show. Rutgers preparing to face the 8th-ranked Louisville Cardinals. Should be a good one Thursday night in Kentucky. First things first, Coach, I need you to pick a winner of our Brother Jimmy's prize pack, the hat, the cookbook, the T-shirt. Go ahead.
All right, here we go.
What's our number?
It says Eric LeGrand. Goodness gracious, Eric. That doesn't seem fair.
I'll try to figure out how to get one later.
All right.
I'll see how it is.
All right, the winning number here is 663-118.
663-118?
No, my man. Here's my guy right
here. See, now what?
That's my brother from another mother. Here he is.
Our buddy Scott is your winner.
This is my man. Hang on, you better get somebody to check this so I don't get accused of tampering.
I got the proof. What, did somebody yell fix?
I don't know.
That is
That's
great.
my guy.
You know what, though? He deserves it.
I
He's done a great job. Been here every week.
I think we've guaranteed he'll be back the next week.
Well, we will not have a show here for a couple of weeks. Rutgers will not play another game after Thursday night until the 26th of October. So we'll have one leading up to that. That's homecoming. Congratulations, Scott. All right, we got about 2.5 minutes left here. What do you think the keys are to be 1-0 this week, as if I didn't know?
You know, it's this is going to be, I think, an exciting game for people to watch. I think you've got two excellent football teams. A lot of the same players from last year, but a lot of different players too, and maybe a few more different ones than us. I think they bring back just about everybody. But there's no doubt that running the football and stopping the run, securing the football, taking it away, and then 1-2 special teams. You know, we have really played at a high level on special teams this year. I'm excited about that. I'm excited about the way we're running the ball and stopping the run, and I think the part of that we have the greatest opportunity to improve upon is securing the football and taking it away. And those are things that we've really focused on this week, and hopefully we'll see the fruits of our labor Thursday night.
Looking forward to a bye week after this, the short week and going into everything, catching up on some sleep after trying to be 1-0.
Sleep is overrated, but it's but it is a unique kind of setup, and you know, to be only the third team, and I think in the last decade to play a road game and then go on the road again in a short week, it's been unique. But to have it, you know, on the front end and the back end with a bye. I think we're going to be in good shape, and we've done a good job, I think, of planning ahead to make sure that we take advantage of the bye week coming up afterwards as well.
Now, health-wise, just a couple of questions. Tyler Croft got a little bit banged up the other day. Is he going to be good to go Thursday night?
We will know that, I believe, by tomorrow at noon.
Okay.
And we'll have a pretty good idea whether or not Tyler's going to be able to go for us.
And also, just from the standpoint of the running game, do you anticipate a similar situation on Thursday night in using both Savon and Justin, kind of similar to what you did the other day?
I do, and I think the way that worked out was the best case scenario, I think, for both players and the team, and Savon will start the game, and Justin will be in the second series, and then we'll go from there.
Is it ride the hot hand and kind of see where you go?
There's no doubt when you get in a game, if there is a player who shows you that he has got the hot hand or is making plays, you got to give him opportunities, and we will certainly do that.
I'll say nothing better than having two than can do it to 7-1.
No doubt.
Offensive line, you got Antoine Lowry in there a little bit for Chris Muller the other day. Just Antoine, does he figure in this week? Does he move into the lineup, and how did Chris handle it the other day?
Chris did it. Chris handled it very well, and I think it'll be a great learning experience for him. Chris will start the game. Mm-hmm. Antoine is still dealing with a little bit of an ankle issue, and we're hoping by game day he's going to feel really good and be able to give us a little something Thursday night.
Coach, good luck this week going 1-0 down in Kentucky.
I appreciate that. Now I want to thank Mike Teal and Kevin Malice. I love it when the alums come out for the show.
Excellent job by those guys coming out tonight. I remember the 54 spot that those two guys combined on out in Pittsburgh a few years back in 2008.
Yeah, I was the fullback that game.
That's right. Open
Stay
up
calm,
the floodgates. Want to thank everybody for joining us once again this week. As we said, we'll be back in a few weeks after the bye. Rutgers will host the Houston Cougars on homecoming on the 26th, but a big one on Thursday night. It's Rutgers and the 8th-ranked Louisville Cardinals out in Kentucky. Listen to us on the Rutgers IMG Sports Network, and also watch on ESPN. Have a great night, everybody. This has been the Kyle Flood Show.
Good luck, Coach.
Thank you.
You've been listening to The Kyle Flood Show, live from Brother Jimmy's in New Brunswick. The executive producers of the Rutgers IMG Sports Network are George Pine and Ben Sutton. Associate producers Joe Potter, Chris Ferris, and John Willie. Network manager Brad Law. I'm staff announcer Carl Shannon. Special thanks to Rutgers Athletic Director Julie Herman and the staff and management of flagship station WCTC.